Hi guys, I haven't uploaded, I had schoolwork, but anyways, hey, race part 4. The next day found the group at Namake's cottage with all their stuff. Sasuke and Itachi had gone back to the Uchiha compound together to get their stuff. Itachi's room had been left untouched since the massacre. Naruto and Minato had packed Naruto's stuff up and got to the cottage early to change the blood wards a bit to allow the Uchihas in. Naruto and Minato had rooms right next to each other. Sasuke and Itachi were down the hall a bit and right next to each other as well. Once everything was unpacked, Naruto smiled happily and then frowned. Oh darn, training with Kakashi-sensei today. He looked up at the clock. Oh, it's only 8:30. He said to meet him at 6, so we should be just on time. Minato's eyebrow rose. Is your math a little bit off, kiddo? No, Kakashi-sensei is always 3 hours late. Minato's eyes widened. Kakashi, as in Kakashi Hatake, always late? Yeah, he's never on time. Minato gained a thoughtful look. I think I know where he's at. You and Sasuke finish up here, and I'll go find him. You guys can come around 9. I'll probably be with him still. Naruto nodded with a smile. All right, Dad. We'll be there. Minato nodded, and then he was gone. Minato arrived at the memorial stone silently, and indeed, there was Kakashi. The silver-haired man was kneeling in front of the stone with his fingers on a name. Minato crept closer, suppressing his chakra. He was right behind the Jounin, and Kakashi still had no idea that he was there. He looked down to see Kakashi's fingers on his own name, and a fond smile made its way across his face. It seemed training Naruto was getting to him. He frowned then. He didn't want Kakashi sad if he was alive. He allowed his chakra to leak out and placed his hand on Kakashi's shoulder, squeezing gently. Kakashi froze and then his head slowly turned at the familiar chakra until he was looking at Minato out of the corner of his eye. Minato smiled gently. Hello, Kakashi. Kakashi's breath caught. As sensei? Minato crouched behind him and reached forward, brushing his fingers over his own name. Yes, it's me. Imagine my surprise when my son said that you were always late. What happened to punctual? Kakashi's jaw dropped and then he blushed. Obito. Obito was always late. Minato smiled and pulled his hand back. I see. Kakashi turned all the way around. How are you alive, sensei? Naruto. Kami brought me back for Naruto. She brought me all the way back, not just a ghost. I'm really here. Kakashi's eye lit up. You're real? As real as you. Kakashi seemed hesitant about something and Minato chuckled, before he wrapped his arms around the silver-haired Jounin and hugged him tightly. He felt Kakashi stiffen, and then melt into it with a small sigh. After a minute, he pulled away and stood back up, holding out his hand. Now, since you're already 3 hours late, we should get to your genin. Kakashi blushed in embarrassment again and grabbed the hand, allowing Minato to pull him up. Yeah, to my genin. Naruto propped his feet up with a sigh. Kakashi still wasn't here, and he was bored. Sakura, who had gotten over her small spurt of actually caring for once, was clinging to an irate Sasuke, though the Uchiha was a bit less broody, because of his brother's return. Kakashi finally arrived with a smiling blonde in tow and Naruto jumped up. Dad. Kakashi-sensei. Finally. Sasuke looked up and grumbled, about time. Why are you always late? Sakura stood up. You're late. And what idiot did you bring with you? Minato was about to speak when Naruto walked right in front of Sakura and slapped her. Gain some sense, foolish girl. That's the 4th Hokage. Look before you speak. Sakura looked at him in shock and he scoffed before turning away. She tackled him to the ground and started punching him, and he quickly kicked her away and jumped up, pulling out his staff and spinning it. A glowing orb started to form and his eyes narrowed in anger. Training today is dodging, bitch. Minato snorted and Kakashi hid a smirk as she dodged the orb of chakra. Another started forming quickly. This would be an interesting training session. When they were done training, aka beating the sense into Sakura, Kakashi pulled them to the side. Now, the Chunin exams are in a week and I planned on entering you. Here's the forms. Bring them to room 301 at the academy in exactly a week at noon. You have off until then. They nodded and took the papers, and Minato smiled, sitting down and leaning back against a tree as Sakura and Kakashi left. Naruto and Sasuke walked up to him, and a form dropped from the trees next to them. Minato leaned forward, though he stayed sitting. I assume you're planning on joining the Chunin exams? Naruto smiled. You bet we are. Right, Sasuke? Yeah, I plan on it. Minato smiled. Good. Then if you are, Itachi and I have a proposal. Since we aren't known to be here yet, we will train you in secret. Itachi trains Sasuke and I train Naruto. I want to teach my son the Hiraishin and Itachi wants to spend time training with his brother. What do you say? Both boys nodded gleefully and Minato chuckled. All right then. There's 3 secret training grounds around the cottage. We will each get one, and if Sakura decides to train, which I doubt, she can have the third with Kakashi. Naruto and Sasuke's faces lit up in joy and Naruto pumped his fist in the air. Hey, he was still technically 12, yeah. Naruto tried again and then collapsed to the ground, panting. I used to be the fastest man alive. It has now been stolen from me. Minato chuckled. Well, once you master the Hiraishin, you'll get your title back. Naruto groaned and stood, ready to try again until he could do more than 3 in succession. This would be a long week. Sasuke yelped and dodged a fireball. Are you trying to catch me on fire, Nisan? You're too slow. You can follow my moves with the Sharingan, but you cannot counter them until you're faster. Now dodge. And another fireball hurled at him. He jumped aside, singing his arm hairs, and then growled. He would become faster. Sakura brushed her hair, humming to herself and thinking of ways to seduce her Sasuke-kun. She was pissed at Naruto for making her dodge all day a few days ago. Then there was that blonde that was pretending to be the fourth and Naruto's father. She had to admit, they looked similar, but there was no way Naruto was the son of the fourth. She stood up and wandered into her mom's room. The older woman looked at her. Hello, Sakura. What do you need? Is Naruto the son of the fourth Hokage? Her mother froze. What? Where did you hear that? A man showed up at training that said he was the fourth Hokage. He said he'd been brought back for his son, Naruto. Naruto can't be his son, right? He's just a loser. Mabuki slowly turned with wide eyes. Minato-sama's back? You know him? I had a crush on him when we were younger. His wife was on my team. He's back? I think it's a fake. There's no way. What does he look like? Blonde hair that's messy with 2 long spiky bangs in the front. Blue, narrow eyes the same color as Naruto's. Tan skin. About 6 foot tall. Lean frame. Leaf Hittite and a strange white and red cloak with kanji on the back for yellow flash. Mabuki's eyes widened and her voice became suspicious. And what did you say to him or call him? Well, he was late with Kakashi-sensei. That means he's an idiot. And if he is Naruto's father, which I doubt, then he's a loser too. Did you tell him that? Yes. Mabuki slammed her forehead on her desk. You did? You called him an idiot and a loser? Yes. You're a fool. He is Naruto's father, and he is the fourth Hokage. It's not well known, but Naruto's real name is Namikaze, not Uzumaki. Sakura's eyes widened and she paled. What? You called Lord Fourth a loser and an idiot. Sakura started hyperventilating. But I didn't mean to. I won't get, executed, right? Her mom sat up and waved her hands. No, Minato-sama is kind. He won't do anything to you. You looked a bit bedraggled the other day, though. What happened? It was the day I called Lord Fourth those names. Naruto was mad and he made training into dodging. Dodging? Yeah, he wouldn't stop throwing chakra balls at me all day, except for lunch. Mabuki chuckled. Minato-sama probably thought that a fit punishment and didn't interfere. He didn't stop him. Yup, sounds like him. Did they say where they were staying? No, just that Sasuke was staying with them. Did they say what they were doing? Training for the Chunin exams that we're entering in 4 days. They're training for the Chunin exams and you're not? Well, no. Mabuki scowled and then got an evil grin. I'll just have to train you then. I used to be a kunoichi. I know some stuff, and since you missed out on 3 days already, we'll have to be a bit rough. Sakura paled. She'd really screwed herself over. Kakashi was bored. He didn't realize how much time he spent training his genin. Without them training, he had nothing to do but read his Pora adventure books. Where were the boys? He'd seen Sakura training with her mom in the village training ground. Wasn't that a surprise? But the boys, he hadn't seen them since he'd announced the Chunin exams. He was tempted to go to Namake's cottage, but if they were there, they were busy or wanted to be left alone. He sighed and pulled out a new book. Soon, perverted giggling was heard echoing through his house. Naruto sped around the training grounds as a yellow flash and laughed in exhilaration. He'd finally mastered the Hiration. He was finally on par with his father's speed again, and now he was even faster than the Sharingan could follow. It was amazing. Minato watched his son celebrate with a small proud smile. His son was truly a genius to have learned the Hiration so quickly. It usually took longer. Now, he could move on to the Rasengan. They only had 2 days left, so Naruto might not learn the Rasengan, but they could start. But for tonight, they could rest, celebrate, and have ramen. While Naruto was ricocheting off the trees, Minato went to where Itachi and Sasuke were, only to dodge a huge fireball with a yelp. It's just me, Itachi. No one else can get in the grounds. The fireball cut off to reveal Itachi with a sheepish expression. Oops, Minato-sama. I told you, just Minato. How's Sasuke doing? Well, very well. We've been doing speed training, and how to cast Genjutsu's easier. His Sharingan had a low capability for Tsukiyomi, as Naruto said, so we focused on making that stronger. If you only have to look at an opponent to win, there is much less chance of dying. Yes, Naruto finished the Hiration tonight, and I wanted to celebrate with ramen. You know how he likes his ramen. I came to see if you two wanted to come. I'm paying. Itachi thought a moment and then nodded. We'll be down to the house in about 10 minutes to change and raise a henge. Is that satisfactory? Minato chuckled. Yes, that's fine. You don't have to speak so formally. I look at both of you like sons, just as much as Naruto. Itachi's eyes widened. You do? Yes. Itachi was silent a moment, and then he spoke in a quiet voice. Thank you. No problem, Itachi. 10 minutes? Yes. Good, good. Team 7 walked up the stairs to the academy 3rd floor with their papers in hand. Naruto and Sasuke were confident and hiding happy smiles. Sakura was excited too, but she was also slightly fearful of Naruto for some reason. Their outfits had changed to impress. Naruto was wearing a replica of his father's outfit, except that his cloak didn't say Yellow Flash yet. He didn't want to boast too much. He would be announcing his heritage, however. He'd already had the Hokage change it on all the records, so that his last name was Namake's instead of Uzumaki. He also had a second kunai pouch, this one with Hiration kunai in it instead of regular ones. Sasuke was wearing a high-collared, black and silver shirt with the Uchiha crest on the back. His pants were now long, ANBU style, black pants that tucked into shin bracers that looked like bandages that then tucked into his ninja sandals. He wore his wrist bracers underneath the half-sleeves he'd kept as part of the outfit. He was also noticeably lighter since he's regained his brother. Sakura was wearing a long purple dress-like shirt that was split at the waist to allow movement. Underneath it was a mesh, sleeveless shirt. Her bottoms were tight black shorts meant for action that only went about a third of the way to her knees. Her hair had been cut short and her hitayate rested on top of her head behind her bangs. They reached the second floor to see room 301, but they had only gone up 2 floors, so they knew it was Jinjutsu and continued to the 3rd floor, deftly avoiding the attention of a kid with a black bowl cut and was wearing a horrid green jumpsuit. He seemed to be looking for Sakura, so they crept up the stairs and reached the real room 301 to find Kakashi standing there. He lifted his hand and waved it, "Yo." Sakura seemed confused. "Why are you here, Kakashi-sensei? You had to come as a team or not at all?" "This is a team exam. Sakura nodded in understanding, and the 2 boys looked at her with raised eyebrows. She'd sure calmed down. What had happened to her in the last week? They pushed it to the side and handed Kakashi their entrance forms, and he waved them in. "Good luck." They stepped inside and were met with killing intent aimed at them. Naruto's eyebrow cocked and he released some of his own, red Indra's, killing intent through the room. Immense pressure filled the room and many paled at it, before he pulled it back without a word. A silver-haired teen came up to them. You shouldn't draw attention to yourself. I, being a 7th-year veteran, know this." Naruto scoffed. 7th year? Seriously? He leaned close to the man and spoke in a low whisper. "You feel of snakes. I can also sense your chakra at high jounin levels. You're no Chunin. I would bet, Orochimaru." The man gasped quietly and Naruto gave a dark chuckle. "Don't worry. I won't tell. I also won't tell that the grass Nin over there is the man himself. What an interesting fight. Remember my name, Indra Otsutsuki, also known as Naruto Namikaze. Watch yourself, spy." He pulled away and the man looked at him warily, before clearing his throat and schooling his face to be impassive once more. He continued his act. "Yes, I see. So, I know information on everyone here. Would you like any information?" Sasuke stepped forward. "Yeah, him." He pointed at Naruto. They'd planned this out. This would reveal Naruto's heritage. The Nin nodded. "I am Kabuto." "Let's see, Naruto, here you are." He pulled out a card and it glowed red for a minute before words formed. Kabuto read them through and then spoke in a clear voice. "Naruto Namikaze. A genin of the leaf, though his skill is leveled above genin in rumors. Son of Minato Namikaze aka the Yellow Flash aka the 4th Hokage. Teachers, Kakashi Hatake and Minato Namikaze. Teammates, Sakura Haruno and Sasuke Uchiha aka the last Uchiha. Has completed 50 D ranks, 1 C rank and 1 A rank. Has fought Sabuza Momochi, one of the 7 swordsmen of the mist, and then managed to get Sabuza Momochi to join Konohagakure no Sato as a completely loyal shinobi, jounin level." You could hear a pin drop in the absolute silence that pervaded the room, and then shouts of anger from the IWA teams, who all despised Minato for destroying their army by himself all those years ago in the 3rd Ninja War. Naruto turned to them and killer intent came off of him in intense waves. "Is there a problem with my father, gentlemen? I'd love to show you that I am just as capable of beating your ass as he is." They were trembling under his killing intent, so he pulled it back just as a poof of smoke was heard at the front of the room. Then, "All right. Sit down, maggots. Let's get started." They jumped through the forest of death at top speed, Naruto sensing for new chakra signatures. They had been in here for 2 days already and already had both scrolls, and in Naruto's case the blood of several IWA Nin on his clothes, but they were looking to see if anyone from Konoha needed help. Orochimaru was in these woods after all. Naruto suddenly sensed a snake-like chakra, and he immediately grabbed his teammates and held them anchored to the branch as a huge gust of wind slammed into them. It finally stopped and Naruto immediately activated his eyes to Manjikyu mode, darting around. He suddenly grabbed Sasuke and Sakura and jumped into the branch above them, narrowly avoiding a giant snake. He turned to his teammates, I'm the only one who stands a chance against him, no offense meant, so I need you guys to go to the tower. You can't go in without me, but there should be A and BU guarding it. Tell them that Orochimaru is here and your teammate was trying to hold him off when you ran to get help. Sasuke seemed hesitant, are you sure? He's after your Sharingan, Sasuke. Go. Both of you. They both looked at him once more, before speeding off to look for help. He turned and jumped above another snake, before he jumped down and stopped Orochimaru from chasing after Sasuke. He pulled out his katana and narrowed his eyes. You want to fight the Sharingan so badly, Orochimaru, then fight me. I won't let you have Sasuke as a meat suit, you disgusting filth. Orochimaru appeared in front of him on a snake and ripped off his grass-green face with a wide smile. If I were to get your eyes, Indra Otsutsuki, nothing could stop me. You're mine. You wish. The battle had begun. Sasuke and Sakura reached the tower and immediately hunted down an ANBU. Bear turned and Sasuke spoke, it's Orochimaru. Orochimaru. Orochimaru's in the forest. Naruto was trying to hold him off when we left. Bear immediately tensed, stay here. I'll get the Hokage. They nodded and Bear sped off, leaving them perched high in a tree. Sasuke looked towards where he sensed his friend's powerful chakra. Naruto, be safe. Help's coming. Bear, also known as Hayashi Hyuga, rushed into the tower and immediately went up to the Hokage's level, knocking on the door rapidly. It's an emergency, sir. Orochimaru has been spotted in the forest. He's fighting a genin right now, so he'll be coming soon. The door whipped open to reveal the Hokage there with wide eyes. Orochimaru? You're sure? Yes, Hokage-sama. He was spotted by two genin, Sasuke Uchiha and Sakura Haruno, who said that Naruto had stayed behind to try and hold off Orochimaru. Naruto? Yes, sir. The Hokage turned inwards, Elite ANBU. Hunt down and retain Orochimaru of the Sannin. Yes, Hokage-sama. Right away. And they were gone. Sarutobi looked into the distance where he could now sense Naruto's chakra. Hold in there, Naruto. We're coming. There was suddenly a yellow flash behind him, and he spun to see Minato there with a Hiraition kunai. Minato looked at him. I'm going to my son. Go, Minato. Be safe. I will. And then another yellow flash and he was gone as well. Naruto cursed as Orochimaru managed to get a thin gash across his stomach. Since he didn't have all of his former prowess back yet, he couldn't just kick the traitorous snake into next week, though he wished he could. As it was, he only had the thin gash in his stomach from Orochimaru's sword and Orochimaru looked worse for wear. But he knew it was far from over. Minato arrived where his son's Hiraition kunai were, and he looked up just in time to see a body slam into the dirt in front of him. He looked down to see Orochimaru, and he jumped back as the Sannin struggled to stand. Orochimaru sensed him and spun, his eyes widening in shock and then narrowing in anger. No wonder I haven't been able to resurrect you. You're always a thorn in my side, Namikaze. There was a blur and then a person in front of them, panting heavily and holding his stomach with one hand and a katana with the other. He glared at the Sannin. Your blade was poisoned. No matter. I'm going to finish you off, you stinking traitor. Orochimaru looked between the two of them, who were both falling into fighting stances, and then he cursed and sunk into the ground, disappearing. Naruto punched the ground. Damn it. He got away. Minato slipped away his kunai and walked over to his son, who was looking pale. Are you all right? You said you'd been poisoned. I have. It hurts like a bitch. QB's healing it right now though. I'll be back in tip-top shape in 2 days. What about now? Naruto frowned and slipped his katana away, covering his stomach. He suddenly lost all of his previous anger and sagged. gasping as he finally let his pain get to him. I think that I'm going to sleep now. Minato's eyes widened and he jumped forward just as Naruto's legs gave out beneath him, and he collapsed. He caught his son in his arms and tuned himself into the boy's Hiraition kunai, teleporting to the seal on Sasuke's back. He appeared there and Sasuke spun with a kunai, only to gasp as he saw the barely conscious blonde in Minato's arms. Minato looked at his son worriedly and then handed him to Sasuke. Pass this part of the exams, and I'll visit him as soon as he's in the medical wing. Sasuke nodded and they jumped down, leaving the blonde man behind to worry over his son.